All right, hey, how's it going, guys? Today I'm doing a deep dive on the metals company, ticker symbol TMC. I haven't done a video quite like this. I'm not sure how long it'll be. I'm just going to go over a lot of the relevant information, relevant facts for those of people who don't know about the stock at all, know a little bit about it, or kind of just to get you thinking here. So I'm going to cover a lot of basic stuff, and then we'll go from there and see what happens. So, middle company here. Here is the stock price is trading at $1.60. It's been definitely a little volatile the past week or so, week and a half, 2 weeks, due to different news, the new presidency, a couple different things, even like it's company news too coming out. But I'm just going to get right into here. I think the first thing I have is StockTwits, not StockTwits. This is an article, and this kind of just goes over the basics again. So I'm just going to go over what they're about, what they're doing, what's going on here. So I'm not going to read every bullet point. I'm just going to go through and kind of look at the pictures. It's a lot easier and it's not as boring. But this is basically their mining system, how they're going to mine the little rocks off the ocean floor, and these rocks are full of battery making material, and that could be used for a number of things, but we'll get into that later. But it's to put it in basic terms, it's like a vacuum cleaner for the ocean, and they're picking up these little rocks, kind of sucking them up, and this is extremely deep, as you can see. This is 1,000 to 4,000 meters deep, so 1 to 4 kilometers, and then 4 to 6.5 kilometers. It's insanely low into the ocean. No sunlight, no nothing down there, and this is what their plan is. There's little rocks, like I said. They scoop them up, suck them back up like a vacuum cleaner, and they take once the harvesters, I think they're calling them, on the boats fill up, they're going to take them to land and then process them and then go from there. That's kind of the simple explanation to something I can go on for hours about. Um, I will link some of these articles in the description because it's a lot to read, a lot to take in, and I'm not going to be just saying good things. There are some bad things too, not entirely bad, but kind of both sides of the story here. These just go into what the little rocks are made of. One big point I want to do is they are bleeding. They're definitely underfunded. Recently, each quarter when they report their earnings, they obviously have no inflow of cash because they're not mining currently. So whenever they report, they're reporting basically a net loss, or they're losing money right now, and that makes sense because they're not mining. But even though they're still valued at a few million, they're still paying salaries. They're putting a lot of their money into research. So the only, I wouldn't even say it's scary, just downside is there's a lot of money being lost right now. But once they submit the application for mining this summer, in a previous video I said January, but I was wrong about that. This summer, they should be mining by the end of next year. So once they start mining, money will start coming in. And that's kind of what this is breaking down, is just their money kind of bleeding out here. But they do have some different investors. Their board of committee is pretty well stacked with different people. Next thing here, this is going to be another big topic of the video, is the NORI. Basically, that's where they're mining at, and the TMLL, both under their, I guess you could say, jurisdiction technically, or they have the rights to mine there. It's hard to explain now. I have a map I can show earlier, but it's a massive territory, huge area of the ocean. I think another backfire to this is there's a lot of people who are against disturbing the ocean, and I get that, I do. But when the opposite end of the spectrum to this is like more mining or land-based mining, I think it's one of the things where it's like, okay, if we need these materials, it's kind of the necessary of two evils here. So that's kind of what this covers. Covers a little bit of the basics and everything. Again, I will link these in the description. Back to it later. This talks about the NORI area, and it kind of breaks it down. So here's the coast of Mexico right here. And then from here, you can kind of see how it's sectored out. And we're looking at these gold sectors. And again, this is obviously in the ocean. These are very huge areas. So exploration area, 75,000 square kilometers. Again, huge area. And then this is their other plot of land, basically. I don't know what the not jurisdiction, but it's basically they have to go through, as you can see, sponsoring states to get access to these lands because it's people own the rights. It's a bunch of political stuff. It kind of breaks down the how much weight of the little rocks are down there, and what these rocks are compromised of. And this just breaks down the whole shebang of it. Again, I'm not going to read it word for word. Another big thing is their website itself just has tons of information. So I think it's a good source. They're very I don't want to say active in the community, but their CEO posts a lot on Twitter. Their website's just very active, so they're not just kind of like it's not on the shelf. It's very in your face if you want it to be, which is a good thing. I think I like the transparency. Water here. I didn't think I didn't think we'd be talking this long. And this does break down the Republic of Nauru and kind of what they're saying it is. So this is the spot they can mine. I don't think there's any more pictures to kind of go off of. They've done lots and lots of years of research. In terms of research, they're years ahead of any other company that wants to try this, which I think is really good too. So once they kind of have everything set up and moving along, it's going to be a long time before another company kind of says, "Hey, let me try that," or "Hey, that's a great idea." These other two, I'm going to link these two, but everything else is on their website. This one is pretty nice because it breaks it down more into numbers. And this is the NORIID field. Present value is at 8 billion. Total potential revenue from all fields estimated to be half a trillion, which is insane. I don't know the timetable to say, hey, if we start mining this now, how long will it be until we're done with it? This is definitely a multi-year thing. It's not going to happen overnight. We're talking a few decades at least before it's all mined up. So obviously, potential revenue being half a billion or half a trillion is pretty nice, but you still have to calculate the expenses to do all this stuff, which I don't think they've quite figured out yet. They know they have to run the boats. They want to supersize their operation, obviously, and go off of that. Here's just saying they're going to start collecting by 2026. And this doesn't really talk about much about anything else other than what I have already covered. It talks about the rocks, the breakdown, the introduction, the rocks, again, kind of what they're used for. A lot of their main purpose is going to be used for electric vehicles, the batteries inside of them, but just in general, any batteries, any just things that are needing these materials will want them obviously, and when they can get mined for a lot cheaper than say some, like I said, bore mining in Russia or China, which would lead me into my next point of just the political nature of trading with other countries is pretty huge. So this administration has looked into. I think the DoD did a research the past couple of years about this kind of mining, and they did get a grant recently from the DoD kind of go along with what they're doing, which is huge because hey, when the Department of Defense is kind of looking at you and saying, hey, that's interesting, or hey, we should look more into this, that's pretty big news, especially for the stock world. And this just breaks down their kind of stockpiles again. I'm trying to see just what else is new information here. This is the ISA. This is what kind of approves them, gives them the stamp of approval, like, hey, you can do what you're doing. They're going to submit their application over the summer, them, and it should be getting approved based on all the research they've done and what they've heard back from the ISA. Just to talk about here again, just breaking down how much. This is just nickel specifically, but comparing to in Russia, and I'm talking, I think the place in Russia is that open mining pit. There's a lot going on there. We'll go back to the FAQ here. This just really breaks down any question you could have, which is nice. Again, their website's very transparent, very user friendly, very nice to use. I obviously go on it and use it. They have a spot for the investors company, kind of give you an overview of what they're doing entirely for everything. So again, great resource. And then finally, this is the products. This is just breaking down those rocks I was talking about again. Now there's just tons and tons and tons of them at the seaboard, the seafloor, and what they can be used for. Breaks it down. Nickel sulfite, have the cobalt sulfite, and then the copper, and then manganese. Manganese, yeah. And then it does just kind of a little breakdown like, hey, we process these through. It's a lot harder than it looks, obviously. But again, their website's a great read. And you can only look, if you were to look in the future, you can take how much does it cost or how much revenue is it for each, say, ton of these materials, and that price is just going up and up and up, especially as the world itself uses more of these metals in different chips, different electric vehicles, different batteries, solar panels, anything of that nature. It's pretty huge. I think that's about it. Again, first time doing one of these videos. I am in beat from talking this whole time. I'm gonna drink some more water. If you enjoyed it, made it this far, like, comment, subscribe really helps me out. I appreciate it. Thanks for watching, and see you guys later.